Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Belisle, Executive Director of Corporate Relations here at Asia Society in New York. We just hosted 4 simultaneous breakout sessions. Since we all could not participate for the entire time, we're going to invite one of the co-hosts for each session to share with all of us what was discussed in the top outcomes. This is our lightning round. And to begin, I'm happy to welcome David Pang, partner at KPMG, one of the co-hosts for the breakout session, The Strength of Asian Pacific Employee Resource Groups. Hi, David.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Our topic was the strength of the BRGs. And, we got through talking about our own personal stories and really a few takeaways. And the biggest takeaway for me, for us, was don't underestimate the strength of the BRG and the impact that it can have on your professional and personal careers. In terms of the richness that it brings you a new network and brings you some friends and some, upward mobility. There are positive journeys that we talked about, elevating yourself, and great stories about how BRGs have influenced people's careers, specifically my career, and usually requires, someone that's interested in you as well, to support that. But it also includes your desires, to use that, the BRG as a vehicle, to help you, navigate. But it does require somebody else that's also interested in you, and that is going to support you along the way. As part of the, events that have happened, in March, it also allowed our companies to have an active participation in our DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. It allowed us to work quickly and to help bring drive and much of the activation, solidarity, and enabling others and organizations. And it was quick and immediate, and had an immediate impact that came through in the form of care and empathy. And also, the last bit was about having conversations. It's difficult, when items of what's happened in the Black community and the Asian community. It's hard to know what to kind of do. Part of that is your own education. The other part of that is educating others, and speaking out about it. But you do have to get that courage, and think about having a conversation. That for me, it was very difficult, during the Black BLM, and when that was happening, like, how do I, start that conversation? Part of that was you got to start small, but just by giving a call, and leading with empathy and leading with care, and just giving them a call and just asking them how you're doing, and also listening intently listening to them, and not just listening and being silent, but actually speaking up, and asking questions and making sure that that they hear you. And allyship is there's no membership fee associated with that. We're paying for a lot of things, and so allyship is free for everyone. So those are the 3 things that I wanted that took away from our session. So back to you, Chris.
Thank you, David. I'm so happy that we were able to host a breakout session on the strength of APA ERGs. It's such a important role, and is one of the key findings from the 2020 Asian Corporate Survey, which we will talk more about tomorrow in the report. Moving on, let's welcome Michelle Snoddy, Senior Manager for Strategy, Programs, and Analytics for Diversity, Inclusion, and Ombuds from Chevron Corporation. Hello, Michelle.
Thanks, Chris, for having me. And our topic today was around building inclusive leaders through allyship. And so interesting, David, as I was listening to some of your remarks, we touched upon a lot of the things that you talked about as well, leading with empathy and curiosity. But mostly we started off with really defining what do we mean by inclusive leadership and what do we mean by allyship. And we talked specifically about some of those behaviors that are critical toward building inclusive leadership, things around cognizance and being aware of our own biases and being curious with interest about experiences that are different from your own. And then, of course, having the commitment and being deliberate about the actions that you'll take in order to kind of create a more inclusive environment. And so we talked a lot about leadership behaviors. We also talked about, how allyship actually influences that. And we gave some really interesting examples of things that we've experienced in our Chevron culture, programs that have worked really well for us. One being the MARC program, Men Advocating Real Change. And this program is rooted in allyship because it really allowed men to step away from the sideline, actually get in the game and play to become allies to create greater gender equality within the workforce. We also talked about our Elevate program, which really takes it a step further from just focusing on gender and really understanding and having open conversation and dialogue about with other underrepresented groups within the organization. And then from there, we move the dialogue toward some specific examples of things that people could leverage in terms of creating conversation and especially leveraging our employee resource groups, the ERGs that you were talking about, David, because there's such a great opportunity for fostering conversation and creating a psychologically safe environment where allyship really lives and really helps to drive an inclusive culture. We left our audience with a few tips of things that they can reflect on and becoming a really great ally. First, starting with reflection itself and taking time to really own your own experience and understand that others' experiences are different from yours. And then to learn, to take the time to actually look at resources that help you to educate yourself on cultural differences. And being more culturally intelligent and aware of the different cultures that could influence your work environment and being able to leverage that knowledge. And then also what the impacts of unconscious bias can have as part of that learning journey and recognizing your own biases and being able to mitigate those things. And then, of course, we challenge the audience with acting and being open to having honest, transparent conversation with their employees and with others in their family and in their communities, not just in the workplace. Because we know that as you evolve as an inclusive leader, it isn't just a switch you turn on when you get to work. It becomes part of who you are, and it permeates all of the engagements that you have, whether that's with your family, with your community, or in the workplace. So I'll turn it back over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Michelle. Again, I was very proud that we hosted this session on allyship. It has been a key theme today. We may recall Lulu Wong, our vice chair, speaking about the importance of this in our opening Global Trustee Forum. And it's critical to have conversations, not just about allyship, but how do we become an ally? And how do we be part of the solution? So I really appreciate your time giving us those top outcomes, Michelle. Thank you.
And if I could just add one thing to David's point, because David made some great points, there's no fee. Everybody can be an ally.
Well said. Next, I'm happy to welcome Yiwen Li, Director for Strategy and Business Development with Masimo and a member of Asia Society's Southern California Advisory Board. She was one of the co-hosts for Asian Pacific Women Supporting Each Other Through Challenges and Opportunities. Hi, Yiwen.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me. Yeah, we had a really exciting, engaging conversation despite the technology doesn't allow the audience to talk. It's just amazing what technology can do nowadays. So our topic is Asian Pacific women supporting each other through challenges and opportunities. We started our conversation with what does it mean to be Asian American woman? It's such a multifaceted concept and identity. It seems that there is a disparity between perceived identity and who we actually are. In workplace and in our professional life or in life in general, Asian Pacific women are perceived to be this obedient and extra nice, extra polite. But in actual fact, there is also this very strong personalities in ourselves. So we discussed first about how to identify our true self and be authentic and honor your true self. And then we moved to talk about the struggles, the challenges that we encountered in our professional life as Asian and as women. That is, well, a lot of people feel the same way. That being Asian women had this advantage in their professional life, but also there's a way to turn that around and being an expert in Asia and have different leadership style as female can actually advance your career. So it's about how to turn that disadvantage around and leverage that to advance your career and have your true leadership style as Asian women, because we're, as Asian women, naturally authentic and nurture. So use that as your leadership style and advance. And then lastly, we talk about how can we help each other, especially at today's time, because inclusion and diversity become such an important topic. Asian women is now heard and front and center. There have been so many conversations going on, like Michelle and David mentioned, and forum like this have give us a lot of opportunities for our voice to be heard. Mentorship is really important. Mentorship within your industry and outside your industry, to network with women in the same position or women in a higher position to get exposure to opportunities is very important. Mentorship also means friendship, and that can develop very organically. Like Michelle and David also mentioned, it's free, there's no fee to be mentor and mentee and build a natural, beautiful friendship. And lastly, we also have questions about if some of the women are not located in California or in New York, but in the middle of the country where the population is not so diverse, how can they be part of the conversation? And the good thing is technology has enabled us so much, and to build a community both in person and virtual is now possible. And actually I can't help but making a little advertisement for the initiative that Asia Society is going to launch called Asia Women Empowered Initiative, that we're going to organize more mentorship, networking, and feature Asian women in leadership and in emerging positions, and build a community both in person and virtually, and more to come on that. But we had a really great, exciting, very authentic and true sharing session. And thank you, Chris, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Yiwen. In keeping with our theme this year, in solidarity we rise, it's important that we highlight the role of APA women. And we are so proud of this upcoming initiative Asian Woman Empowered, which will be launching soon. And for those who are interested to learn more, please go to asiasociety.org. We'll be continuing to keep everyone aware of further developments. Next, I'm happy to introduce Ivan Batac, Pan-Asian Community Co-Lead in Princeton for Bloomberg, one of the co-hosts of the breakout session, Having the Power to Shape Our Destiny, Asian Pacific Emerging Leaders. Hi, Ivan.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me. So like Chris said, our breakout session was about having the power to shape our destiny, Asian Pacific emerging leaders under 40. I think the first thing we all agreed upon was that all leaders should be under 40. Just kidding there, but seriously, our goal was to get people thinking of what it takes to become a good leader and to see if there are differences or separate challenges for the API community to become leaders. There were 4 questions that we posed to our participants. The first one was, what are some characteristics of a good leader? The main answers we got, or the answers we got the most, were having a clear vision, being inclusive, and being empathetic, meaning a good listener, respectful, and humble. Now that we asked them what it meant to be a good leader, we asked them what characteristics did they think they were missing from their repertoire? What do they have to work on to become a leader? The top answers were being too much of a people pleaser, being too nice, being too sensitive to being judged, and not taking risks. So the next question, or actually we took a poll before we asked the next question. We asked them, do you think it's hard to become a leader as an API? And everyone answered yes, except for my moderator, who was trying to be difficult. She answered no, but everyone else answered yes. So with that, we asked, what are some struggles or challenges that people are facing that non-API colleagues of their own might not be facing? The top answers were being only seen as the technical person, only good at math and science, feeling comfortable being their authentic self. Someone said they can't bring fish to work. And also, no one looks like me and my name is unpronounceable. These are all tough things that I think the API community faces that maybe others might not face as much. The interesting thing that I found was that the things people listed and what they thought were missing, or characteristics they thought they were missing to be a good leader, were not the same as what they were listing as the characteristics they thought made a good leader. So it seems like the characteristics that the participants thought made a good leader were not missing in their repertoire. There were just other characteristics that they thought they were missing, but it seemed like it was more specific to being an Asian Pacific Islander. The last thing we asked them was, what do you think you need to overcome these struggles, and what have you done to get past these obstacles? Some of the answers we got were educating others about differences and talking more about being Asian, being open to discuss obstacles with others, and then in general, just speaking up. Another thing we touched on was ERGs are great resources. My co-moderator and I are part of an ERG at work, and we always try to bring these issues up in front of leaders. We always try to question why there aren't more Asians in leadership, or what can we do to have us become better leaders or make us better candidates to become leaders. So, I think reaching out to your ERGs is a good example of how you can get in front of these obstacles and have a greater audience. Speaking up is definitely the biggest takeaway I think that we got out of this. As Asians, we're kind of taught to blend in. I think Lulu mentioned it when she was doing her opening. We don't try to stick out. We always try to blend in. In the West, the saying goes, a squeaky wheel gets the oil, but in the East, the nail that sticks out gets the hammer. So it's very different point of views from the East and the West. So I think to become a leader, we all decided that we need to try to become more Westernized by speaking up, but also being authentic to ourselves.
Thank you, Ivan. And thank you to all our hosts that we just listened to and their co-host for the breakout session. I hope that all of our guests were able to engage with our hosts as much as possible and share information as we look towards building unity and a stronger community. Thank you all again.